On today, I.Talk, we're sharing a story that travels from Brazil to the world, a story of resilience, curiosity, and building success far from home. Our guest is Taynara Fernandes, an environmental engineer and researcher whose journey reminds us that borders don't define success. Thanks for being with us today, Taynara.
Thank you for having me, Safa, and hello everyone. It's really a pleasure to be here today to have the opportunity to share a little bit of my story with you guys.
Yeah, the pleasure is mine, my dear. And I'm so excited. We know each other from the time we spent together in Germany, like just quickly, but I'm so excited to get to know more details from your inspiring journey. And that's what we'll try to do today. Tainara, before starting, quick reminder for the listener to share this episode with their colleagues and friends so that we spread the knowledge and a call to subscribe to our YouTube channel. This fuels our show and make us empowered. The first question, I will take you back to 2013 when you decided to do a bachelor in environmental engineering. And then the obvious question, how this decision came to you back then? Was it influenced by a person or by your own desire? You were like passionate by environmental science and all this, or something else? How did this came?
Yeah, thank you for the question. This is actually a funny story.
Uh-huh.
Everything began when I was in high school, and my
Okay.
history teacher, he decided to show us a documentary, which was called Extraordinary Trash. And the
Okay.
documentary was about the second largest dump in the world,
Okay.
located in Rio de Janeiro, in Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
And this documentary was actually made by an artist. He
Mm-hmm.
went to this dump and he was trying to transform all the poverty and the social situation that you met in that dump, because we had actually not only the environmental pollution but also people
Mm-hmm.
collecting the trash and actually feeding on the trash. You could see adults and even kids on
Yeah.
this very vulnerable situation.
Yeah.
And the artist wanted to transform this to create pictures and art from the trash, right? Involving the people that were in this vulnerable situation.
Yeah.
And I remember that this documentary it spoke to me in a way. I was so impressed on how these people they didn't have dignity to live their lives. They didn't have basic sanitation, they didn't have what to eat.
Yeah.
And this moved me in a way that I thought to myself, I have to do something to change it. And from then, I started writing a blog about environmental
Wow.
issues.
Nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
uh, with 16 years old. So
Yeah.
basically, it was something that I was passionate about, right? So I wanted to do something to change it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I always liked kind of science, so biology, physics, chemistry,
Mm-hmm.
and also history after this documentary. Um, but I then tried to choose a bachelor that would combine
Ah, yeah.
the my passion for science with this desire that I had to change the world for a better place, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this was basically the story after it.
Yeah.
And once I entered my bachelor, I started going to the university in
Yeah.
Brasilia.
Mm-hmm.
I started also working in an internship
Yeah.
at the regulatory agency. And there I had the chance to work on the project that was then closing the dump that we had in Brasilia. Because believe it or not, the second largest dump in Brazil was in Brasilia.
Ah,
And
yeah.
then I had the opportunity to have this closure
Mm.
and work not only to end this dump that we had back then,
Mm.
but also to help to design the project of the landfill,
Yeah.
which was the first landfill of Brasilia.
Mm. Yeah. Exactly. Thanks for mentioning the internship because also when I was preparing, I noticed that during the how much from 2013 to 2018 you had a lot of internship, and you also worked as a researcher in CAPES, if I'm pronouncing right, and then
Yeah.
CNPq. And the first one was a scholarship that was called Scholarship of the Young Talent Program. Many things going on during your bachelor, and you were not just focusing on studying and getting the degree, but you also made sure that you learn from the field, and you take the real realities back to your studies. Is it a common thing in Brazil to do that, like to have really intensive internships during studies, or it was something you made sure to happen in your career, in your studies?
Sure. So basically, I entered the university with 16 years old.
I am.
And since then, I financially sustain myself. So
Cool.
during university, I was wearing many hats to be sure that I can afford my
Mm,
education. It's a
right.
public university that I studied, so I didn't have to pay for the university. But I had other costs, right? I used to live very far away from the university campus,
Yeah.
and it was important for me that I had this financial security that I could afford
Yeah.
uh, living by myself and studying at the same time as I had all the internships and scholarships.
Yeah.
So I had to wear many hats, and one
Mm,
of them
yeah.
were the scholarships that I was always applying for and really being dedicating myself to try to make it happen.
Yeah.
So the first one, the Young Talents for the Science, was basically a test that I had a high score and they selected me.
Okay.
So with this one, I had the chance to choose what I was going to study and
Yeah.
to research about.
Okay.
And in this time, I was very engaged still with the landfill story. So I had to choose, of course, to study how the landfill is polluting the soil and the
Hmm.
groundwater.
Yeah.
So I went to the very specific details of how this is happening, how we can avoid,
Yeah.
and so on. And the second one in was another scholarship from CNPq, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
This one I already was actually a continuation of the first because with the first I noticed that the dumps they are not only bad for the soil, right? They are
Mm.
also bad for the groundwater.
Yeah.
There's also groundwater pollution
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
And then I started to be a little bit more interested about water resources.
Mm. Yeah. That will take us to 2021. We'll come in a bit. Is this scholarship still running till now? Like people can apply and can get it?
Yeah, I think they actually changed a little bit the selection process and
Yeah.
the scholarships,
Okay.
but for sure they still exist.
Okay. And very good to know that the other internships were paid. So, because like, for instance, here in Morocco, you can spend like 6 months without getting paid. It's just a learning internship. They don't have to pay you. I mean, in Europe, it's completely different. You can get paid for
Hmm.
whatever you do. So in Brazil, it's the same. Like if you do an internship, is it automatically a paid one, or you negotiate it, or how it happens?
It depends. I would say that most of them they are paid, but the
Okay.
salary is not huge,
Yeah.
so don't
Yeah.
raise your expectations.
Yeah.
So they pay not so much, but you get paid. Yes, you have a salary usually.
Okay. Very good. You graduated from the bachelor in 2018, and then you started a trainee program at a consultant firm company in 2019. And then I will give you all the package so that I can ask all the questions at the same time. And then in 2020, you decided to start an MBA in contaminated sites management and sustainable development, which we know now why you are interested in contamination and all this after the story of the documentary. And then in 2021, even before finishing the MBA, you started a Master of Science in integrated water resources management. This combination, Tainara, how did it happen? Like, and what was your goal or your aim by doing all these three big chapter of your life, like working in parallel of doing the MBA and then while finishing you started the other? What was your logic back then?
So basically, I was always really eager to learn.
Yeah.
And this is something that I carried after I finished my bachelor's, right? So I started working, but I'm really a fan of continuous education,
Yeah.
right? And life is not linear. You
Yeah.
can choose to study different things, to learn different things, as long as you're engaged in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my idea, especially behind the MBA, was because when I started working for a consultancy firm, I
Yeah.
realized that in the university, like I had the technical background, very solid one,
Mm-hmm.
but the university is not really preparing you understand the core of the business
Yeah.
for different companies, right? And
Mm-hmm.
this is something that you need when you are
Yeah.
working in consultancy because you need to understand what are the risks, what are the opportunities,
Mm-hmm.
mostly also how to communicate
Yeah.
with the C-level of those companies.
Yeah.
Because if you want to give advice,
Yeah.
you not only need to have the technical knowledge, but you also need to know how to communicate it in an effective way
Yeah.
so your ideas will be taken into consideration, right?
True.
So this was the main idea behind the MBA. So first, continuous learning, and
Okay.
second, to be able to add value to my work in the
Yeah.
sense of being heard
Mm-hmm.
and knowing how to communicate.
Yeah. Okay. And for instance, here in Morocco, we have this, I would call it stereotype maybe, because I never had an MBA to decide if it is true or not. But like people advise that an MBA is worth it when you have a long work experience, so that you already get use it to the work environment, to the tasks, to dealing with different stuff, so that the MBA comes to take you to the another level while managing teams, resources, budgets, time, schedules, and all this. Is it a true idea for you? Do you see that people really need a long working experience to start an MBA, or it's not really a valid assumption, let's say?
Um, Not necessarily, I would say. I don't really like those
Yeah,
ready,
yeah,
like advices
yeah,
that you give like this. I think each
yeah,
person has a very particular story, a career path, for example.
yeah,
And in my case, working for a consultancy firm, it's like intensive experience
mm,
of how different companies from different sectors work. So
mm,
without necessarily having to be employed in all of those sectors,
yeah,
you end up learning so much in such a short time. You really
yeah,
need to be a quick study
yeah,
to absorb everything and understand the problems that you want to solve, right?
yeah,
So I think in that case, going for the MBA, I didn't have necessarily like this long career
yeah,
path,
yeah,
but I had already contact with many different
mm,
business
yeah,
structures and types.
yeah, yeah.
So
It was beneficial.
yeah,
And after this period of time that you spent within this consultancy company, how did you find this field of consultancy? Because I think, I don't know, I don't want to make any assumption here because we will jump to research and science. So it's a completely different world. Back then, when you finished this work experience, and now with the awareness and the reflection you have, how do you find this consultancy world?
it was a very different world from what I
Yeah,
was used to
yeah,
in university. So this was my first job.
yeah.
And I basically, like I said, I had to be a quick study. I had to
Mm,
understand a lot in a short
mhm,
period of time.
yeah,
And it's really a fast-paced environment.
mm,
So you need
yeah,
to hit the ground running, you know. You don't really have time to lose. So you need to get used to this fast-paced.
yeah,
But at the same time, you also learn a lot
mm,
because in my case, um, I not only had to understand the core business of the clients,
yeah,
but I also had to identify risks and opportunities
mm,
to give them the best solutions.
yeah,
And the best solutions had to be compliant with the environmental regulations in Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
So for that to work, we were also in touch with the government. So I
Mm.
had so many different stakeholders to manage at the same
Mm.
time
Yeah.
and interesting projects.
Yeah.
So I would say that it was almost like a business school for me
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in the sense that I could do a lot in a short
Yeah.
period of time.
Yeah.
I was basically there for 3 years. I entered as a trainee and got promoted for sustainability
Mm.
analyst.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, I also started working in English, so this was also
Ah.
supporting my next career step.
Ah, very good. Because I will take the advantage, and thanks for mentioning this. Me switching, because in Morocco, for instance, our second language and the official one with what we work is French. And then back
Mhm.
then, when I switched, when I was in Germany studying and working in English, it was a challenge for me at the beginning. And I assume young people in Brazil have this challenge of English language. Do you agree with this idea? And what can you advise people to motivate them to not have this as a constraint or obstacle for their career? It's just a matter of taking your time, getting used to the English stuff, and like after 6 months or 4 months, you're gonna be fluent and you will feel very confident talking about this.
Yeah, I would say that in Brazil we have a similar
Yeah.
problem.
Mm.
The English that we learn in school is not very intense, so we
Yeah.
basically don't have lots of classes. And what happens is that you end up having to pay for a private class, right?
Yeah.
So that's what my parents did back then. Since I was 14, I had private English classes or courses, and I think it's a matter of practicing because
Yeah.
a language, it's really hard to learn a language if you're not inserted into an environment that you
Yeah.
practice it using different spheres of your life, right? So listening, talking,
Mm.
reading,
Yeah.
and those skills, I think like a tip that I would give, it's basically try to add the language that you want to learn in your day-to-day life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Either with apps, like nowadays, even with AI, we have
Yeah.
crazy apps that can help us a lot.
Yeah.
Watching movies, even
Yeah.
having a tandem partner, for example. This is also something that I did
Yeah.
back then at the university. And in the consultancy firm that I worked, I didn't necessarily had to do my own work in English because we had an English department, like an international
Ah,
department, that would
okay.
translate for us.
Ah, okay.
And what I did back then was basically just say, no, I will do my own in
Good.
English.
Yeah.
And if you want to correct something, please let me know. And then we can, like, I was also working on myself. I
Yeah.
took the opportunity to do it.
Yeah. That's why I mentioned curiosity and resilience at the beginning. That's resilience and curiosity. Yeah, very good. I like that. So this chapter of consultancy job ended in 2021, and then you decided to do the Master of Science in Water Resources Management. How this how this step came to you and why water, especially that you were into environment and you explained to us that the landfill and all this contaminated the groundwater. Maybe this is the motivation you wanted also to get a bit of more in-depth science about this aspect of water. But yeah, maybe you can walk us through this period of choosing to do a Master of Science.
Sure. So while working at the consultancy firm, I never really cut my ties with the academic world. So I was always studying and in contact with my old professors. And I remember that back then at the university time, I
Mhm.
had a professor, one of the professors that was supervising me in these scholarships. She introduced me to a whole new world, which
Okay.
was the modeling world, the modeling of water resources
Ah,
and
okay.
lakes and reservoirs.
Ah,
And she asked me, Taynara, there's this model that they are using now in many different countries. Do you want to give it a try to simulate, to model the reservoir that we had here in
mm,
Brasilia?
mm.
I was like, yeah, but I don't know how to program really well. I had many doubts back then.
Yeah.
And she was always supporting me. And she was like, but you can learn.
Mm.
And I think this phrase is stuck in my, was like, it's stuck in my head for so
Yeah.
long
Yeah.
because this is actually a very powerful mantra. Like, yes, I can learn. I don't
Mm.
know it right now, but
Yeah.
I can learn. And so I did. And I then started in the world of modeling
Mm.
with this lake model that we use to simulate and check whether the reservoir will have eutrophication problems or not, and
Yeah.
how we could avoid this.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that for the masters, I wanted to do something related to water regarding those previous experiences that I had.
Mm-hmm.
And the projects that I was doing also in the consultancy firm, they had many
Okay.
um, water related projects.
Mm-hmm.
So it was also something that I thought, why not? To
Mm-hmm.
couple those two
Yeah.
experiences. And
Nice.
so I did.
Okay. I was also at University of Brasilia, the same where we you had your bachelor. And financially wise, since you mentioned it before, like how did you secure the finance or the funding for your master?
Yeah, so the masters I did while I started doing it while I was still working.
Ah, yeah.
So again, I had to let go of a lot of personal time to invest on my career, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
So I was arriving from work already to have the classes,
Yeah.
and we had COVID in the middle of
Yeah.
everything. So it was also
Mm.
a challenging period for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But basically, I was sustaining myself with my salary back then.
Ah, okay. Okay. With your savings and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And during this time period where you were studying the Master of Science, did you imagine yourself pursuing a research-driven career? Because it's called Master of Science of Research of Science. Yeah, exactly. Like back during those 2 years from 2021 to 2023, the idea of really putting yourself into research and maybe doing a PhD.
Yeah, like I said, I always had like one foot in academia and science always, I was always so curious about science. And even
Mm,
during my period at the consultancy firm, I was always keeping updated with the last papers and also
yeah,
working and giving advice, um, science-based advice, I would say
yeah,
it like this. And also to help in the process of science-based decision making, right?
yeah.
Which is something that is really important. But I always had this in the back of my mind that I wanted to keep studying and to um, maybe one day I could become an expert on
Mm,
the field
mm,
that
yeah,
I want to.
yeah, yeah.
And this was water
Okay,
research, water resources.
yeah, yeah. Cool, nice. Exactly. I want to take you to the transition to the next big step, or let's call it turning point, in your career when you decided first to leave Brasilia to go to Germany and to start your PhD within the UFZ Institute where we met each other. Uh, how this big decision, I would say, I would call it, first, were you thinking about leaving Brazil at some point in your life? Uh, what pushed you to take such big decision in your life and then also to do the PhD? How all this like was prepared in 2021 or even before a bit?
Yeah. So, like I said, I was financially independent since I was 16, right? And I knew I always had this dream of going abroad to study, to
Yeah, okay.
work, to know new cultures and
Yeah.
languages, for example. But during my university time, it was not really possible. The scholarships were not really happening to go
Mm,
abroad.
mm,
And as you can imagine, as a Brazilian, it can be like so expensive to go abroad by yourself, right? So I decided that I was going to start working and save some money, and maybe one day I could put this dream to
mm,
reality.
yeah.
And I guess the turning point was COVID. COVID-19, the pandemic,
Mm.
where I realized that, yeah, life is short. I need to pursue my aspirations,
Yeah,
right? I need to
yeah,
put this to work.
yeah.
And what happened was I was doing already my master's,
Yeah.
and I was then looking for a place to write my master thesis, right? Because this is a very common agreement
Mm.
that when you write your master thesis, you can do it in a different university, in a different institution, or even at companies sometimes.
Okay,
When
yeah,
they have a problem, they can just hire you
yeah.
to solve a real world problem. But the downside is that they don't pay for it, so you don't have a salary. Either way, I applied, and from the five institutions that I applied, fortunately, all of them accepted me.
Okay.
And the UFZ, which is my current employer,
Hmm.
not only accepted me, but also offered a paid position.
Ah, okay.
So
To
it
do
was
your master
perfect
thesis.
to do my master's while I was doing my
Okay.
master thesis,
Mm-hmm.
and it was perfect for me because then I could align a requisite, which was to have financial security,
Yeah.
with my studies, which
Okay.
was what I did my entire life, right?
Okay.
And then it was like the turning point, I would say, for me to go back to
Okay.
research and science.
Ah, cool. So the motivation is to do your master thesis abroad, and then it happened that you came to Germany. But what other countries you were interested in beside Germany?
I applied, beside Germany, I applied to two institutions in Australia
Ah, yeah, okay.
and um, two in France because
Okay.
they were all working with that model that I mentioned that I
Yeah.
got introduced during my bachelor's. They were the experts in this model, and also
Mhm.
here in Germany.
Okay. So the plan, Taynara, was to come to Germany to finish your master thesis while having this contract with UFZ that will secure you for while doing that. Uh, what kind of adjustment you needed to do, professional on a professional and personal wise? I mean, professional, we already knew that you're done with your work. You started the master, and now you are focused on your on finishing your master and getting the degree. But what kind of challenges? Because I assume leaving Brazil to go to Germany and all what it takes in terms of visa, paperwork, uh, like new culture and all this. How, for people who are listening to us, could you just again walk us through this period of transition that I assume was a big step in your life?
Would say that was the biggest challenge that I had so far was to
Mhm.
move my entire life
Yeah,
for a completely different country
yeah.
with a language that I didn't know. And also, I knew no one here. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, I was changing my whole life, my whole career to a complete new path.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be scary. It's a leap of faith, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So you don't know if it's going to work out, if you're going to like it. But in the end, of course, you have many challenges. So coming from Brazil, you can imagine, like, people here ask me, like, why did you leave Brazil? Like, the weather is so good. And I understand, yes, the weather is so good.
yeah,
So it's a complete change. And for sure, the weather was a really hard adjustment. The language took me a while to learn.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and I think the cultural differences as well,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So it's a new culture. It's very different from what I'm used to. But in the end, I think you need to be ready for this, or at least you have to have in your mind that's going to be a challenge.
yeah.
And if you're willing to do it or not, I
Mhm.
think the silver lining here would be definitely the maturity that
Yeah.
you acquire
Okay.
in personal terms
Hmm.
of being able to handle yourself, right?
Mm.
And
Yeah.
to take care of every aspect of your life, to build a network and friendships from the scratch.
Yeah.
It's a new start, I would say.
Exactly.
And despite of the challenges, I'm really proud of everything that I did,
Yeah.
everything that I managed to do so far.
Yeah.
And I would say that I grew a lot in this period.
Yeah, I agree. I'm also proud of you and all what you are doing. And you're gonna
Thank
do
you.
a lot of stuff also in the future, I'm quite sure. Um, I wanted also to mention that you came directly from Brazil to the east of Germany. Like you moved to Magdeburg specifically, and for people who are listening to us, the east of Germany, at least from my own experience, is quite different and challenging compared to the west. I lived in both sides of Germany, and there is a kind of differences in terms of international environment, how people are welcoming, and so I assume that the shift directly to Magdeburg for you was a bit kind of hard because it's a kind of specific society. Either even within Germany, the East is a specific society, and Magdeburg is a very specific place. So I think it was also very challenging for you to move to change the culture and lifestyle and all this. Um, I, I got another technical question. Back then, when you moved to UFZ, the topic of your master thesis was already decided, you agreed on, or you had to work on that while joining the research group?
It was basically decided. I knew that I wanted to keep on using the model that I had already experienced with.
Yeah,
And my current supervisor, he was like, he is one of the experts in
yeah.
this model.
Hmm.
And this helped me just to assure the small details with him.
Okay.
But we already had a team
Yeah.
more or less ready, yes.
Okay. Okay. Uh, you finished the master thesis. I think you went back to Brazil to defend your thesis in your at your University of Brasilia, and you got the degree, and then you came back again to Germany, right? Okay.
No, actually, I stayed directly. I could finish here because it was in the
Online.
end of the pandemic
Ah,
and
okay.
they could just do it online. So I didn't need to actually go back.
Okay, okay. So you finished all this. Like the next step of your career back then, when you finished all this master stuff, was it clear for you what you wanted to do next, or you took a bit of time to think, to discover, to study what kind of options you have within Germany? How was this period of transition after the master?
Yeah, it was not so easy back
Hmm.
then. I remember it was a little bit of uncertainty
Yeah,
to know exactly what I would do next.
yeah,
But I had still this contract with the UFZ, which also would give me the possibility to, if I wanted
hmm,
to start my PhD. So
okay,
this is also something that is different here in Germany than in Brazil. Like in Brazil, if you start doing your PhD, it's like you are a student still. So
yeah,
you get a scholarship from the
yeah,
government. It's not really like you have a job. And in Germany, you actually have a job as a scientist
hmm,
and you can do your PhD on the side, so in parallel,
hmm,
right? Of course, there are different structures. So if you go to the university, probably you have to do the regular PhD, like having classes or giving classes. But if you do it in a institution, you can work as a researcher and have your PhD on the side. And I think
yeah,
this is a very plus, a
yeah,
very big plus from
yeah,
doing it in Germany.
yeah. Very good. So you took some time while having this contract after the master to see and to decide, should I do a PhD or not? And then at the end, I know that you opted for the PhD option. What was the thing that really made you sure that you wanted this? You wanted the PhD at the end? Because it's a big decision, and we all know this.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't lie here. Like I like a challenge,
Okay.
and I think a PhD could fit on this.
Mm.
But what actually made me choose back then is that I didn't want to do it in any topic. So I had a
Okay.
few proposals where I actually said no
Mm-hmm.
for
Mm-hmm.
because it wasn't not really what I wanted to study. So I made sure that I was taking a detailed look into the supervisors, into the topic.
Mm,
And I then had a nicer proposal to, like a nicer project and theme to start
mm,
my PhD, which was a little bit more applied to the real world.
yeah,
And this is something that I value a lot when you do science, not only to read papers and do this very theoretical kind of science,
yeah,
but when you do applied science, right?
yeah.
So I had the opportunity to start a project which is called FlusaQ, which
Okay.
is basically studying the effect of heat pumps
Mm,
inside lakes and reservoirs
okay.
to heat the cities that are surrounding it.
Okay.
So Germany, it's really trying to invest in renewable energy
Mm-hmm.
at the moment, and this would be one type of clean energy that we could provide.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't want to do this in a way that is not also taking a look into the environment, right?
Okay.
So my job in this project is basically to assess the impact
Yeah.
on the water column, on the water quality, and make sure that this is a safe
Okay.
um, measure to
Yeah.
do, right?
Yeah.
So I thought this was applied enough, and I could also take advantage from my previous
Yeah.
experiences
Mm-hmm.
because I'm using now the model that I used back then when my teacher in
Yeah.
2017 proposed me to start my professor actually.
Yeah. So wonderful, and that's a big one because two times you had some inspiration that really shaped your decision. Like the first one with the documentary back then in high school, and then the professor who introduced this modeling tool software for you, and then you see those are like continuing with you, and yeah, it's shaping in somehow the your career. Before digging deeper into the PhD chapter, which is a big one, um, two things for people. I'm thinking instead I'm putting myself in the shoes of a young person in Brazil who want to do a PhD in Germany. Um, how do you see this jump? Like, what kind of opportunities people in Brazil can have to come to Germany, like a scholarship or a direct contract, like you have now with the research institute? Um, and do you see like I wanted also to open the perspective for them to think outside of the box and what they can do. Like if we can now focus on someone who is in Brazil and who want to pursue an international career, let's say not just the PhD, what kind of option do you see from your experience and your circle that Germany is offering or Europe in general?
I would say that first of all, believe in yourself
Yeah.
and just believe that it's not impossible.
Mm-hmm.
Because the mentality that I had back then, it was such a faraway reality for me that
Mm-hmm.
I would really think this is impossible. I don't have a scholarship, I don't have money, how am I going to go abroad, right? And I think you can do it. I'm here today to say that if I managed, it's possible. There's a door that is open. Oh, better, many of them. You
Yeah.
just need to know how to knock.
Yeah.
So I would say that one non-obvious way, like the first one, okay, scholarships, you can apply for as many as you can, but
Yeah.
of course the competition is really high. But another way, which is not so obvious, it's basically look for the people that you want to work with
Mm.
and email them.
Yeah.
I know that it might be scary, but that's how I got my position. I emailed my supervisor and I
Wow.
was showing my interest. I was
Mm.
sending my CV,
Yeah.
my academic background, my papers, and so on. And I asked,
Mm.
like, I want to work with you. Do you have an opportunity for me?
Yeah.
And back then, he didn't have a paid opportunity or anything like this. So he told me, I understand that you need to have your financial resources, but now I don't have any positions at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But then this was in his head. And the first time that he had a position, he contacted me back.
Cool. Yeah.
So I think this is one way that maybe it might be a bit scary,
Mm.
but the worst answer that you could get is a no, right? Or not get an answer.
Yeah.
So you might as well try.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I agree. Yeah. Showing up
this would
and
be one tip.
talking to people is the key.
I would say so.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
definitely. Yeah. And keep searching, like keep looking. We exactly people from the global south think that it's far away from them or they might not get an answer because we are used to kind of pessimistic realities here, but it's not
Yeah.
the case. People who make it, who has the courage to do that extra step, and that's what's making them achieve that dream or plan. Cool. Uh, I will take you back now to the PhD. For people who are listening to us, you are a third year PhD student or PhD
Yes.
candidate within UFZ Institute. Um, we know that the PhD is, for me, I see it as the most draining job or science in general and research and academia. And it takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of energy and time, and you need to learn a lot of skills. And when it comes to skills, we are talking about writing, presenting your stuff, collaborating with other researchers, looking for funding later on, different aspects that you were not really aware of before entering the PhD, but on the way you have to learn them and to master them. For you, Tainara, what kind of specific challenges you faced during the PhD? And the following up question, what kind of tips could you give to people who are like first year, second year PhD student, like going through the same hassle, if I can so so?
Yeah, it's definitely a hustle. You're not
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah,
And I would say that the first challenge for me, it was actually to change the pace because I was coming from consultancy firm
yeah.
and the pace in research is really different.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that one day my boss actually approached me and he was like, Taynara, you work too much. Go home. And I was like, okay. Because I was used to a
Yeah,
different
I
rhythm,
understand.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess this was one thing. And the second was the lack of teamwork, I would say.
Yeah, very good.
So in consultancy firm, I had at least like the colleagues, we would work together on the project, also
Yeah,
with the clients, and you go to brainstorm together and to come
yeah,
up with new ideas and so on. And the PhD is more like a lone wolf kind of work.
mm,
You are responsible for your own project
yeah,
and to manage it and your resources and your results, your time.
mm,
So this is quite different, I would say. And a tip when I'm getting when my head is full and I cannot concentrate anymore, or I'm a bit frustrated, I try to get my head out of it doing other things. And one thing that helps me a lot is to do sports. So I love Pilates. I'm
nice.
really doing
Very,
classes now, or I go dancing. We have a Brazilian dance community here, which
very
is
good.
called forró. It's the
Okay.
name of the dance.
Ah,
So I do it together with my friends. I try to get my head out of it.
yeah.
I remember that I used to watch this TV series, which is called House MD, about this doctor.
Mm-hmm.
He was a very successful doctor who was always getting these very hard cases, and he only would arrive to the solutions when he was thinking about something else, you know? So
Yeah.
I have this on my head and try to remember why you are here, why you are doing your PhD, what is your purpose, right? Try to hang on to it and also maybe remembering your story.
Mm,
I try to remember my story, my path, the delta of my walk until here, you know? Where did I came from? Where did
mm,
I come from and where I am right now?
yeah.
So I think this can also give you a spark of
Yeah.
trust and
Mm,
light in the end of the tunnel
yeah. Yeah. I
for you to
agree.
proceed.
Yeah. I assume it's hard to keep this work-life balance. All people are talking about this, but it's really needed to avoid burnout. during the PhD. Although sometimes you feel guilty that you are taking some time for yourself and for your hobbies, but that's the right way to do it and to sustain during the 3 or 4 years, because it's not just one shot. It's a lot of you have to win. I would get
For
still
sure.
dig deeper a bit into technical aspects to since congratulations for the 2 papers already. And uh,
Thank you.
one of the feedbacks that we have that I hear from PhD students, the most difficult part, it's either reading, because you need to read a lot of articles and papers. And
Yeah.
again, for engineers, they are specifically they are not used to read a lot. Uh, and the other aspect is writing. Again, we are not used to scientific writing, which is completely different than writing a report or or a synthesis or whatever. So if we take those 2 parts, Taynara, reading and writing, from your own experience and learning path, how did you manage those 2 components, let's say, in terms of tips, how to manage it, how to be efficient, kind of, like especially in the third year of a PhD?
Yes, so this is definitely an important question. I would say that for reading,
Yeah.
it's really time consuming, and sometimes you have to read the same paper
Yeah.
once, not only once, but twice or even 3 times, so you understand the very fine details, or even go after the source code of the paper and talk to the authors. So you make sure that you understand what you need, right? And reading it can be exhausting for sure. But one tip that I would give is nowadays we have these apps that they are reading the
Mm,
papers for
mm,
us. So you can just do like a podcast and listen to it in the way to work or even at work.
mm,
So you have another way of assimilating the information, right?
mhm,
So you listen to it and then you read, so you can couple those two strategies.
mhm.
And for writing, writing is not easy. It, sometimes you're just facing a white paper, like on Word
Yeah.
or LaTeX,
Yeah.
and you don't know how to start.
Yeah.
So I would say writing is very particular to each person. I would say just start, like just do a first draft, and
Yeah.
you don't need to write a lot. Maybe
Mm,
try to divide in small milestones, like for example, introduction, and you start with 3 main bullet points of the messages that you want to give, right? And after these bullet points, you fill each bullet point with a paragraph, and
yeah.
then you go on. And just try not to be so harsh on yourself, because I understand that when you send it to your supervisor, they will send
Yeah.
you back with many comments and red. You just see red everywhere.
Yeah.
Um, but I also understand that is I try not to take it personally,
Yeah. Very good.
because every person has a very particular way of writing. So sometimes it's not because you are wrong. It's just because if I give my text to you or to my supervisor, it will come with different corrections, right?
Yeah.
The same way when I am correcting a text for my master students, for example, I will have some particular way of
Yeah.
editing it.
Yeah.
So just try not to take it personally and start, like, even if it's slow, start your draft and
Yeah.
move on from there.
Yeah. Definitely. This this aspect of receiving feedback is an important one, because I was there somewhere suffering with the feedbacks. And the key is exactly as you mentioned, don't take it personally. It's a process to make your work look better. And definitely after correcting and getting in consideration the comments, your job or your paper, whatever you are working on, will look better, definitely. So just trust the process, trust the feedback, and try to
For
go
sure.
with the flow. Very good. Um, Beyond this technical expertise related to this PhD or research journey, what are the most important skills that you developed on a personal level, let's say, or on a soft skill level during this period of either master thesis plus PhD? Let's combine them both.
Yeah, I would say that both of them, you are the main person responsible for the results. So you are basically the CEO of your
Yeah,
own company that we can call
yeah.
your PhD. Let's say it like this. And I think the main like skill that I got out of it was basically project management.
Mm-hmm.
Because as I said, you can manage, you need to manage your project from the beginning to the end. And the difference here from what I was used to in the company was basically at the consultancy firm is basically the time that the result will take to arrive. Because when you work on a project for a company, you have the beginning, the middle, the end, and then you deliver, you have the results,
Yeah,
and it doesn't last so long. And with a PhD, it's more like it's a marathon. It's not a sprint, right? So
exactly. Yeah,
you need to be patient. Like the reviewing process of the papers take long. Only with your supervisors, it already take long. When you submit the paper, it takes even longer.
yeah.
So it's really a process of, okay, that's what I want to do. You need to have patience and trust the process. Like
Mm.
that's not really other way.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And the time management is a very tricky aspect in this process. I will try also again to take it on a broader scale, and to address now or to talk now to people, especially master students who are considering doing a PhD.
Mhm.
Honestly, Tainara, what kind of question they should ask themselves before doing the PhD?
Yeah, the first thing I would say is don't do this for the title, only for the title. This is not worthy, only for the title.
And another
So,
thing, don't do it for securing your paper stuff within Germany, because we know all people like they don't find a
yes,
job. Let's just do the PhD so that we can make sure that it's running.
yeah,
Yeah,
this is not really a good strategy.
yeah, yeah.
Like, you should really ask yourself if you have the discipline for doing it,
Mm-hmm.
for being your own boss in the sense of managing your time, your results, your day to day. So you're not always having someone telling you what to do.
Yeah,
Sometimes no one has the answers for your research
yeah,
questions, right? So you need to find out for yourself, like by
mm,
your own.
yeah,
So at the same time, being a lone wolf, but also knowing when to ask for help.
yeah,
Do you know how to um, talk to your stakeholders, in this case, like
yeah,
your supervisor, how to
yeah,
manage different opinions, for example, how to
yeah,
reply to reviewers?
yeah,
Um, yeah, so I would basically say, you should ask yourself, do you have the willingness to be very particular about a topic and study that until you know great part of the content available like
yeah,
online or on the libraries? I would say that this is a really important question. And I would say that a very important aspect is that you should do your due diligence process
okay,
to choose your supervisor, right? So when you go to a job interview, it isn't just that they are interviewing you. You're
yeah,
also interviewing them on a way that you need to know if that place is for you,
yeah,
if that person will handle the conflicts in a way that you're comfortable with.
yeah,
So don't be scared to really look for references.
yeah,
Talk to the people who are working in the lab of the supervisor currently, ask for their experience. And this is also why I think that this kind of experience that we are doing here is so important,
yeah.
because people need to be able to talk to each other and to talk about their experiences so you can decide for yourself if you want it or not, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's a very good summary of what they have to check before deciding for the PhD. And this reminds me, we had a guest here at Open Doors. She also like took some time to decide for the PhD, and finally she's doing now the PhD. And I will quote what she said as a criteria or indicator for how to decide about the PhD. It's three elements or three aspects. The first is the supervisor, and the supervisor is a very important person who gonna continue with you the whole journey. If you have stressed or not healthy relationship with the supervisor, then things might go wrong. So make sure, as Tainara said, and to during the interview to feel, even you can do some research about your supervisor, what kind of paper he's publishing, to ask his PhD students if they are happy with his supervision stuff or not,
For
to
sure.
see exactly how he's working, how he's interacting with his team. That's a very important aspect. The other aspect is the place where you are going to do the PhD. Uh, Keep in mind that, for instance, in moving from Brazil to Germany, with all what Tainara explained in terms of weather, culture, and all this, might be challenging. And adding this on top of your PhD challenge, it's another layer of complexity. And the third aspect is the topic, of course. You need to be motivated, interested in the topic so that you can keep doing a lot of research and looking for results and interpreting results for this topic. So if the topic is not really appealing to you, you might lose interest in the middle or at the beginning of your things. And we want to avoid this for PhD student. So very good. Now we gave yeah, exactly. Is there a specific formula? I know that I'm asking for something very magical, but still I will try to ask for. Is there a specific formula to stay motivated and on track during the PhD? I mean, you already mentioned that you need to keep your hobbies, to do sport and all this. I'm just repeating the question so that if we can brainstorm other aspects or ingredients that might help people during those moments of doubt, of self-doubt, of yeah, losing track, losing motivation for their PhDs.
Yeah, for sure. I think one really important aspect is to know yourself in the sense of knowing what makes you happy, what you like to do.
Very
So
good.
these things will
Very good.
work like some sort of battery for you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So for me, I know that one time per year, I want to visit my family and my friends in Brazil. So I spend my vacation time recharging
Mm-hmm.
so I can spend all the 11 months in the year
Yeah.
focusing on my career, on my PhD, really trying to develop myself. So I would say having those big recharging moments,
Yeah.
but also the small ones on
Yeah.
your day to day.
Yeah.
Go out with a friend, have a coffee, go have a coffee, read a book, do the
Yeah.
stuff that you like.
Very good.
And here I think we also have a productivity pressure
Mm.
in academia. It happens also in other sectors, but I would like to say that if you don't rest, there is no way that you're going to perform.
Definitely.
It's needed.
Yeah.
So we are human beings, we need to rest,
Yeah.
and we need to know when to ask for help.
Yeah.
And I think here I would like to mention a matter of mental health, because I believe that strategies, for example, like therapy,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
they are not only to solve the problem. So you should not only approach a therapist once you are already depressed or feeling super bad. You can approach a therapist to cope with your day-to-day life.
Yeah.
This is a normal thing. Like therapy is not if it's not only for crazy people. That's
Yeah.
what I would like to say in the
Yeah.
sense that it's okay to ask for help. You don't need to wait until you are in a non-return point
Yeah.
and for you to ask for help. You can do this before to actually act like a preventive measurement,
Yeah.
so you feel better with yourself and with the situation that you're going on.
Yeah. Very well said. Thank you for putting this in a nutshell, because self-awareness is the key in PhD and outside PhD. It's a journey that you need to discover and to have so that you can live better, wiser, and in peace, especially in peace. Last question for this PhD or research chapter, and then we move to the next one. Did you have some specific expectations about PhD and research in Europe, and those expectations were met or not now after like almost 4 years in Germany?
Yeah, so living in Brazil, I think we Brazilians in general, we would have like this non-pedigree syndrome, we call it.
Okay.
It's basically like we don't consider ourselves as good as. I think
Yeah.
this actually has a lot to do with colonialism, right?
Yeah.
Because we were colonized by Europeans and so on.
Yeah.
And then there's this general belief in society that everything that is coming from abroad is better, or
Hmm.
they know more, they know better. And one thing that I found out is that we are good enough. I arrived here and they were really happy. They are really happy with my
Yeah.
job, with my work, and I know how to do it.
Exactly.
And I would just apply it. I'm not less good just because from the global south. I think
Mm.
this is a belief or like a prejudice that
Mm.
we need to end.
Yeah.
And I would say that this is the first thing that I came to realization when I
Yeah.
arrived here, that we
Yeah.
are capable
Yeah.
or we are as good as.
Very good. Okay, so now we're kind of we tried to cover what is kind of important aspect related to PhD and research in Germany from your experience. And I will move to another aspect or another chapter, which is being a Latina in Germany. What does it like? Did you feel some specific um, treatments or barrier or obstacles while doing your career, working and researching in Germany, or it went like smooth, normal, there is nothing to worry about?
I think this is a really important topic.
Okay.
As a woman in research,
Yeah.
you already have many different layers that you need to overcome, right?
Mm-hmm.
As a Latin woman, there's even more stereotypes and challenges that you need to be ready or you need to learn how to deal with,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not easy. Like I actually miss, or I think there's a lack of female scientists in a
Yeah.
position of power, for
Mm-hmm.
example.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the gender inequality is like it still has a big gap to be filled,
Yeah.
and it's not so easy because sometimes you need to really put yourself out there and to really be firm with your beliefs and with your work. So people don't take you for granted, right? So I think as a woman, we need to really stand up for ourselves
Yeah.
and to prove, not really to prove every day because this can also be exhausting,
Yeah.
but just to understand for yourself and to be confident that you can also do it, despite the fact that when we look up in the power positions, we
Yeah.
don't see a lot of women.
Yeah.
So it's harder for you to imagine yourself there. We can do this.
Yeah.
And one story that I could tell here actually happened in Australia when I went last year for a research stay. So I went to Perth to live in Perth for 3 months.
Okay.
But before going to Perth, I went to a conference in Brisbane.
Okay.
And in this conference, I was actually presenting. I gave an oral talk about my paper, my research, my findings. And the conference was going super well. It was an international conference, a bit more focused on the professional side. Not only scientists were there, but also people from different governments and NGOs and so on. And I remember that on the last day of the conference,
Uh-huh.
one man that I didn't know, he approached me with his cell phone with the camera opened, and he
Ah,
wanted to take a picture with me, but I didn't know this person. And I'm not a famous scientist, you
yeah.
know? So I found it so disrespectful that he wanted to take a picture of me, like a selfie,
Yeah.
like I was some sort of animal. I don't know, I felt so bad.
Mm.
And I didn't see him taking pictures with male scientists. You know, why did he approach me specifically to take a picture without my consent, without not even, like, I don't know this man. Who are you? Why are you
Yeah.
taking a picture of me?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think this is one of the examples that as women we face challenges when we want to present our work. When
Mm.
we are in a conference, I'm here because I'm capable to be here, not because I'm pretty for you to
Yeah.
come here and approach me with a camera.
Yeah.
So I think this is one of the examples of the things that are hidden in society,
Mm,
but every now and then they appear
mm, mm,
more visible than
mm.
other times. So
Yeah. Yeah.
this was one example that I had.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for mentioning those two aspects, either this embarrassing situation, or either the first one that you mentioned regarding that we have less female scientists. And I think, yeah, that's true, and it applies everywhere. We have the feeling that science and academia is male dominated, and it used to be the same for a long time. And now that women are joining this field, they try to get more and more important role, but it's taking time, and we need a like a mindset shift. And also, I think Tainara, you might agree with me. As I mentioned in the beginning, science and research is a very draining job, and being a mom while doing this, I think it's a very tricky situation. And if research institute doesn't really complies or try to find solution to make it easier for women to do that role, a lot of women are dropping out of science because of this, unfortunately. And yeah, that's a big question mark that needs to be solved somewhere, somehow. Very good. Uh, I will go back again to the Latin aspect. And do you think that there is a very good Latin community that helps you embrace again the Brazilian or the Latin culture while being in Germany, or you didn't need that aspect? Like you were fully integrated within the German society and everything went well.
Yeah, it was also a construction process, I would say.
Mm.
So in Magdeburg, we don't have a very international community,
Yeah,
but in Berlin we do. So often I go to Berlin to go to the Brazilian supermarket or to watch Brazilian movies, for
yeah.
example, or any special theater piece that they are having, that reminds me of home. But what I have here that really makes me feel like home is this dance community that I mentioned,
Hmm.
which I was actually surprised because when I lived in Brazil, I didn't know that Germans loved forró, which is this dance, so much.
Yeah.
And I arrived here and they were listening and dancing to these very specific songs from my country, and I was so surprised. But what I did was to become part of the community
Yeah.
slowly.
Hmm.
And nowadays I teach at the university, so they have these sport courses, and one of the courses that they offer is Faha.
Nice.
So one time per week, I go there and I share with the community a little bit more about my culture. So
Yeah.
this is also something that I do with love,
Very good. Yeah. And also it's making you keep this work-life balance for your PhD.
for
Very nice.
sure.
Yeah. I will take advantage of this rich career path, Tainara, either applying for scholarship, for internships, for jobs, for studies, all this, and ask you like a two-fold question. The first one, what kind of tips could you give to young people when it comes to applying for job, scholarship, whatever? And what kind of advice also we can give while preparing for the interview, either a PhD interview, a job interview, if we can like give them an overview of some tips to help them navigate this two process, application and interviews. Yeah.
Sure. So I would say the first tool that you should have more or less ready is your resume.
Yeah.
So please try to keep it short, 1, 2 pages maximum.
Hmm.
This week I was actually watching a World Bank live meeting
Yeah.
video,
Yeah.
and one of the people working there in a very high position, he said, "I'm at the World Bank for 20 years now, and my CV has 1 page." So, uh, yeah, I would say that you should actually tailor your CV for the positions that you want. I know that it's hard because sometimes you are applying for many positions at the same time and they don't really reply to you
Yeah.
as often as you would like. But select the positions that you really want to, and you tailor your CV. And what does it mean to tailor your CV?
Hmm.
Take the keywords from the job description
Yeah.
and try to see in your career, also coming back to knowing yourself and your
Yeah.
career path, and ask yourself, what are the transferable skills that I have? What did I applied and learned on my internship that I can apply in other positions? For example, project management. This is
Mm.
a very valued transferred skill.
Yeah. Yeah.
So transferable skill.
Yeah.
So this is one of the tip, the CV
Yeah.
for the CV. The second one for the cover letter, again, you can imagine that with AI nowadays, you have very similar cover
Yeah.
letters.
Yeah.
You don't want the recruiter to read your cover letter and find the same as the other 100 AI generated ones. So, okay, you can use AI to check your English or anything like this,
Mm.
but make sure that you're adding something that makes you sparkle.
Yeah.
So I read on an interview, I heard a podcast talking about this company or this institute, this
Yeah.
university,
Yeah.
something that will make you stand out from the other applications,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And for the interview, I would say that it actually depends from for what are you applying. So if you're applying for a PhD, you usually will have your first interview already with your supervisor
Mm-hmm.
or with a small team of
Mm.
postdocs and so on.
Yeah.
And they would be more interested in learning, knowing if you have a solid background on the
Mm.
topic, right?
Mm.
Because you want to become a specialist. But if you're applying for private companies, for example,
Mm.
the first interview will usually be with the HR.
Yeah.
So the HR, they want to know if you can do the job. What are your transferable skills? Can you storytell? Do you know your career? So
Mm-hmm.
this is more like soft skills
Yeah.
based.
Yeah.
And they could also come up with a case for you to solve, and then it gets a bit more technical on the next steps of the interviews.
Yeah.
So try to make your application shine.
Yeah.
And I think in order for you to do this, you really need to learn your own history. And
Yeah.
maybe telling it, like I'm telling here in this
Yeah.
podcast,
Yeah.
is one way of exercising this skill, right? Because you did connections that, yeah, actually, I haven't done before. Like I took the advice from my first history
Yeah.
teacher with the
Yeah.
documentary, and then with my professor at the university. And those things kind of shape your history. And this is
Yeah.
what the headhunters or people working in the HR
Yeah.
they want to hear.
Definitely. I mean, thank you for mentioning all this. And I want to emphasize this kind of customizing or make it personalized your either your CV, your cover letter, or even during the interview. And you have the material for that. Each one of us have a unique career path. We are not the same. That's why we are doing this podcast to show people. So every guest has a unique career path, and you have all the elements and ingredients to show it. What you need is what you mentioned, to know yourself, to connect the dots, why I choose this, why I did this, how this came, and to put it in a nice storyline. This is what people are looking for, as you mentioned. So just do this exercise homework, and everything gonna be unique because you are unique and you have a unique career path at the end. It just needs to be reflected on your documents. Very good. Two last questions. While I really enjoyed, although I know you, but now I'm discovering many other aspects of your career and personality, and I'm very happy for that. Um, what kind of next steps, next aspiration, what you wanted to achieve next in your career? And then I will ask you the last signature question of our show.
Yeah, so I think for my future, I wanna give it back. I think this is what I want. Like coming from Brazil, I studied in a public university,
Yeah.
and the public universities they are funded by taxpayers, right? Which are people in Brazil, and I know that in Brazil we have a huge social inequality, and I want to help to fill this gap.
Mm.
So, and I one way to do this would be giving back from what I learned because I went to the university, but many other people they didn't have the same opportunity
Yeah,
as I did,
yeah,
and I would like to do something regarding to this, like also reflecting on the documentary.
yeah,
Years afterwards, I realized that what moved me and what talked to me in that documentary was not only the environmental pollution that the dump was causing. Of course, this was also like a great thought on my mind all the time, but like seeing poor people without dignity, without sanitation, without anything. Like they didn't have anything. They were eating from the trash. Like this also moved me. And
yeah,
I now for my next steps, I want to do something that will combine both.
yeah.
I want to give back to society and to the environment, right? Why not work on something that could shape both at the same time? Even if it's a needle, if I'm moving a needle on the right position, I think I I would be really happy doing this.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, good luck with that. And that's so impactful and meaningful, definitely. And this notion of giving back, I do appreciate it a lot because, yeah, I think one of our duties in life, at certain point when you feel confident, you feel kind of, you have the tools to give back, you need to do that. That's our duty. Um, Last question, my dear. When it comes, like after those years of experience researching, traveling, Germany, Brazil, Australia, also with the research stay, and also the different countries you visited and people you met and everything. When it comes to professional career, how do you see or define success for you as Tainar?
Um, I think success is tricky to define, but I remember that my dad, he would always sing a song which was saying something like happiness doesn't exist. What we have in life are happy moments.
True.
So I think with success it's a little bit like this, like it's hard for you to have a successful life entirely and or a career or so. We always have ups and downs, right? So I think this is also part of acknowledging it
Yeah,
and trying to see small successes, even if you are moving a needle, like I said,
yeah.
if you're moving the needle in the right place, either if it's on your own small community, on your city, on your country, or globally, if you're doing something that you love, that is really aligned with your values, with who you are, I think this is the meaning of success for me.
Ah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Very good. And I like this ups and downs. It reminds me of something I've heard lately. When you're on the down part of you're the moment that you are not on the top of your success, celebrate the success of others because it's in turns. I mean, today I'm successful, but tomorrow I don't know what's happening. It's a moment of like low stuff. It's fine. I can celebrate your success, success of my colleagues, my friends, my family member. This is life. It's a we shared and we turn around success, as the song says. Yeah, very good. I enjoyed the episode. I hope you too. That was
Yeah, me too.
beautiful. Thank you so much, my dear. And I hope we can catch up again in 5 years. I always ask my guests to do this checkup again, and we can have another talk to see how things developed and how you are doing.
For sure. Thank you very much for having me,
My
Safa. It
pleasure.
was a
My pleasure.
pleasure.
My
Thank
pleasure.
you, everyone, for listening.
Yeah, thank you. As always, as I mentioned at the beginning, don't forget to share this episode with your friend and community in Brazil, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And yeah, see you soon. Take care.